Hello everyone. I hope this video finds all of you, your friends and family in good health and safe from the coronavirus pandemic. Today's article is titled KRISHI PRADHAN and it has appeared in the Indian Express. It is the first editorial published in this newspaper today. Obviously this article is very clearly related to agriculture sector in India. Let's read and find out what it has to say. KRISHI PRADHAN. Need of the hour is to maximize possibilities of agriculture which has demonstrated its utility and resilience in trying times. Utility is the usefulness and resilience means getting back up when you fall down. ठीक है, रेस में दौड़ रहे हैं, गिर गए, उठकर फिर से दौड़ने लगे, that is resilience. So need of the hour is to maximize possibilities of agriculture. ठीक है, agriculture which has demonstrated its usefulness and its resilience in the trying times, in the difficult or tough times. The year 2019-20 saw India's agriculture sector grow by 11.3% at current prices, more than the overall annual GDP increase of 7.9%. Okay? When you calculate growth, there are two ways of calculating it. One is at current prices, the another is at constant prices. Now, if you want to calculate growth, you need to compare it with something else. ठीक है, you need a base year. तो जब भी आप ग्रोथ का कैलकुलेशन करंट प्राइसेस पे कर रहे हैं, इसका मतलब ये है कि यू आर टेकिंग इनटू कंसिडरेशन व्हाट द करंट प्राइस ऑफ गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज वाज इन दैट पर्टिकुलर ईयर. You are not talking about the base year, or you are not talking about the increase in the overall inflation from the base year. When you are talking about inflation and bringing it into to factor in the calculation of growth, that gives you a constant price. So there are two ways: current prices and constant prices. Constant prices talks about or adjusts inflation while calculation. Current prices doesn't factor in inflation and is not adjusted with inflation figures. So the year 1920 saw India's agriculture sector grow by 11.3% at current prices, more than the overall annual GDP increase of 7.9%. According to Niti Aayog member Ramesh Chand, this is the first time since 1980-81 when farm sector growth has exceeded that of non-farm by such a wide margin. ठीक है, 1980-81 के बाद अभी जाके ऐसा हुआ है कि there has been such a big gap between the output or the growth of farm sector and non-farm sector. Non-farm sector being the rest of the sectors, farm sector refers to the agriculture sector. But that's not all. The current fiscal, the April-June quarter, definitely could see agricultural growth surpassing that of non-agriculture even at constant prices. तो करंट प्राइसेस और कांस्टेंट प्राइसेस का पता चल गया. व्हेन यू एडजस्ट इन्फ्लेशन व्हाइल कैलकुलेटिंग ग्रोथ यू अराइव एट कांस्टेंट प्राइसेस. तो अगर देखा जाए तो अप्रैल जून क्वार्टर ऑफ दिस करंट फिस्कल, द करंट ऑनगोइंग टाइम, this is also definitely going to be a boost in the agricultural growth, and it will surpass, it will exceed, or it will win over non-agriculture sector even at constant prices. Even if we adjust for inflation, still agriculture sector or farm sector is going to win over non-agriculture sector. Simply put, agriculture is back to being the economy's mainstay and indeed the only sector growing amid a nationwide lockdown. Mainstay कहने का मतलब है, mainstay is the basis of something. Mainstay is something on which you are dependent. So as it was earlier, India being an agriculture-based economy, the current time has shown, the current time of crisis has shown that agriculture is again going to be the basis of the growth story of India's economy. And indeed, it is the only sector growing in the middle of a nationwide lockdown. Rest all the sectors are all declining and are slumping except agriculture. One indicator is wheat procurement. Procurement करने का मतलब होता है हासिल करना, to obtain something from somewhere. So one indicator of this agricultural growth is wheat procurement. As on May 1, government agencies had bought 14.3 million tons of the new crop, equivalent to a minimum support price value of over 27,500 crore rupees, with another 20 million tons likely to be procured by the month end. ठीक है, वीट प्रोक्योरमेंट या वीट, गवर्नमेंट ने वीट कहाँ से इकट्ठा किया, हासिल किया, That is one indicator of the agricultural output. And what is the indicator of that procurement? The amount that you have spent for that procurement. That is 27,500 crore rupees. Okay? Based on minimum support price. Now, what is minimum support price? There is a beautiful website called Vikaspedia that explains such concepts very clearly. It states that minimum support price is a form of market intervention by the government of India to ensure agricultural producers against any sharp fall in farm prices. The minimum support prices are announced by the government of India at the beginning of the sowing season for certain crops on the basis of the recommendations of the Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices (CACP). MSP is price fixed by Government of India to protect the producer farmers against excessive fall in price during bumper production years. The minimum support prices are a guarantee price for their produce from the government. The major objectives are to support the farmers from distress sales and to procure food grains for public distribution. In case the market price for the commodity falls below the announced minimum price due to bumper production and glut in the market, government agencies purchase the entire quantity offered by the farmers at the announced minimum price. Okay? So this is basically serving as an insurance policy for the farmers who, in case of mismatch of supply and demand in the markets, can suffer crash of price and subsequently heavy losses in their income. So this is basically a safety net for the farmers introduced by the government. The official document that was released, or the letter that was released by the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Department of Agriculture Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, Directorate of Economics and Statistics, with the subject minimum support price MSP for Rabi crops of 2019-20 to be marketed in Rabi marketing season 2021, states clearly the minimum support price for wheat is 1925 rupees per quintal. So using all these data, we can calculate easily how much or what quantity of wheat was procured by the government, and that is 14.3 million tons, since it spent 27,500 crore rupees at MSP. So and another 20 million tons is likely to be procured by the month end. The farming activity being relatively unaffected is also captured by retail fertilizer sales rising 45% year on year in April. Year on year कहने का मतलब है last year in April it was X, now it is X plus 45% of X. So that is a 45% increase year on year in the retail fertilizer sales. Fertilizers are those chemical compounds or mixtures of compounds that increase the productivity of the fields. ठीक है, उर्वरक कहते हैं हिंदी में. So this is another indicator of the growth in agriculture sector and the growth that is about to happen in this quarter, because 45% more fertilizer has been bought by farmers. And if the monsoon turns out normal as forecasted, things aren't looking that bleak for agriculture. Bleak is that lacks vegetation. So agar it is not looking bleak, means it is going to be very green and productive and healthy. So contrast this with the zero domestic car sales last month. Okay? Last month there were absolutely no car sales in the entire country, and there was zero growth or zero sales. When you contrast this with what is happening in agriculture, you can very well come to the conclusion that agriculture is back to being the mainstay of the Indian economy. Now, moving ahead, agriculture doing well is important both for the standpoint of inflation control. Adequate supply of food, feed and fiber along with low oil prices makes it easier for the Reserve Bank of India to pursue an accommodative monetary policy, and reviving spending. Farmers and rural laborers have higher marginal propensity to consume. Long sentence, तोड़ तोड़ के समझते हैं. Agriculture doing well is important from both from the standpoint of inflation control and reviving spending. ठीक है, inflation is a general increase in the price of goods and services in a fixed period of time. So inflation को control करने के लिए by how adequate supply of food, feed and fiber along with low oil prices makes it easier for RBI to pursue an accommodative monetary policy. Now, going back to those lessons where we learned monetary policy, we know that there are two types of monetary policies practiced by any central bank. There is accommodative monetary policy and there is another one, restrictive monetary policy. Accommodative monetary policy में क्या करते हैं कि इंटरेस्ट रेट्स को, की इंटरेस्ट रेट्स को, रेपो रेट, रिवर्स रेपो रेट एट्सेट्रा, इन सबको कम करते हैं. what that leads to is an increase in liquidity and easy cash flow or easy movement or more movement of money or changing of hands of money. So this is also called a loose monetary policy, where you decrease the interest rate to increase liquidity in the market. Second, restrictive monetary policy is also called a tight monetary policy. इसमें आप उल्टा करते हैं, इंटरेस्ट रेट्स को, की इंटरेस्ट रेट्स को बढ़ा देते हैं so that it is dearer to take loans and it is costlier to take loans and the liquidity goes down. ठीक है. एक और होता है न्यूट्रल मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी स्टैंस, वेयर यू डू नॉट डू एनीथिंग, यू डू नॉट चेंज एनी रेपो रेट्स और रिवर्स रेपो रेट्स और एनी अदर की रेट्स and you just watch what is happening. That is a neutral monetary policy. So it is easier for RBI to pursue a loose or accommodative monetary policy and thereby increasing liquidity and thereby controlling inflation because there will be adequate supply of food, feed and fiber and there are low prices of oil currently. ठीक है. तो पहला स्टैंड पॉइंट जो था वो इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल का था, वो तो उसके लिए एग्रीकल्चर इज डूइंग वेल. Second is reviving spending. Farmers and rural laborers have higher marginal propensity to consume. Propensity is the likelihood of doing something. Like if somebody is inclined on doing something particular according to their habit, it is their propensity. So propensity to consume is likelihood of consumption. तो इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल के लिए एक दूसरा बहुत ज़रूरी काम है और इकोनॉमी को रिवाइव करने के लिए एक दूसरा बहुत ज़रूरी इंडिकेटर है स्पेंडिंग बढ़ना, कंजम्पशन बढ़ना. तो सिंस एग्रीकल्चर इज़ डूइंग वेल, सो ऑल दोज लेबरर्स and farmers who are attached with agriculture sector will have a better chance of increasing their consumption or spending after consumption. So these two standpoints are being well served by the growth in agriculture currently. But it is also a fact that the farm sector cannot support economic growth beyond a point. A NABARD survey for 2016-17 showed that only 43% of the average monthly income of even the country's estimated 10 crore plus agricultural households came from cultivation and livestock rearing. ठीक है. 2016-17 में NABARD का एक सर्वे था. NABARD is National Bank for Agriculture and Rural Development. This bank did a survey and found out that of the 10 crore plus agricultural households that are in India, their monthly income is divided into two parts. ठीक है. One is one that comes from cultivation and livestock rearing, the other that comes from working at other areas or other sectors, like they also serve as migrant laborers and go to the urban centers and work as laborers over there. So the rest of the income, or there are some industrial workers who go back to the factories and then start working once they have sowed their crops or once they have harvested their crops. So only 43%, less than 50%, that is 43% of their income comes from agricultural activities. The rest 57% comes from other activities, other sectors. The growth of non-agriculture is, in other words, important for farming families themselves, many of which have members deriving incomes from manufacturing and service sector jobs. ठीक है. जैसा कि मैंने कहा, there are other sectors. 57% of the income of 10 crore plus agricultural households or families comes from manufacturing and service sectors. So we cannot just rely upon farm sector, and farm sector can support economic growth only till a certain point. Beyond that point, you need manufacturing and service sector to be revived in order to support these agricultural households to the fullest. Now, many of the migrant laborers, either stranded or returning from industrial centers and cities post-lockdown, belong to rural farming communities. ठीक है. Stranded is फंसा हुआ कहीं पे. So many of the migrant laborers, either stranded or returning from industrial centers and cities post lockdown belong to rural farming communities. That is correct. Given that not everyone can be gainfully employed in farms, it is a matter of time before they head back to work away from their homes. So these laborers that have moved back to their villages post the lockdown, they are there only for a temporary time, and not everybody is equally skilled enough to be employed in the farming sector. Now they are more skilled, or they are better at doing something else in the manufacturing or service sector, and they won't be used to their best efficiency in the farms. So it is only a matter of time. It won't be much time when they start heading back to work away from their homes and back to the cities or industries or the service sector they were serving already. That said, the need of the hour is to maximize the possibilities in a sector which has demonstrated its utility and resilience in trying circumstances. So given all these facts, that agriculture is booming, and although booming, it can only support till a certain extent, and beyond that we need manufacturing and service sector to be revived. So given all these factors, the need of the hour is to maximize possibilities in a sector in the agriculture sector, which has demonstrated its utility and resilience in trying circumstances. Trying circumstances again is all those tough times that we are going through. The focus should be on the coming Kharif cropping season, especially ensuring timely availability of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, credit and other inputs. ठीक है, जो oncoming Kharif cropping season है, in the last few videos or some video in the last week, we came across the concept of cropping seasons in India, and we learned that there are three main cropping seasons: Rabi, Kharif and Zaid. So after Rabi comes Kharif cropping season. The focus should be on the coming Kharif cropping season, especially ensuring timely availability of seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, credit and other inputs. The latter includes labor and machines. Latter यहाँ पे other inputs के लिए use हुआ है. So the latter includes labor and machines whose movement was rightly exempted from lockdown restrictions. Exempted था मतलब वो lockdown restrictions में शामिल नहीं था. It was not included in that list of items that were under lockdown restrictions. The government should seriously consider starting at the earliest special trains for laborers engaged in paddy transplantation and other agriculture related operations. एडिटर का कहना है, एडिटर का ये सुझाव है कि गवर्नमेंट शुड सीरियसली कंसिडर स्टार्टिंग एट द अर्लीस्ट, जितनी जल्दी हो सके उतनी जल्दी, स्पेशल ट्रेन्स फॉर लेबरर्स एंड सच लेबरर्स हु आर एंगेज्ड इन पैडी ट्रांसप्लांटेशन. पैडी इज़ द क्रॉप फॉर राइस. ठीक है, पैडी ट्रांसप्लांटेशन कहने का मतलब है कि व्हेन यू प्लांट राइस इन द फील्ड्स, यू बेसिकली फर्स्ट ग्रो अ सैपलिंग in a separate place indoors, and then you plant that sapling in the fields one by one. So these are also done by mechanical machines, also mainly by hand. So all those laborers who are engaged in paddy transplantation and other agriculture related operations, they should be transported back to their places using special trains at the earliest. This is also the time to free farm produce trade by lifting all restrictions on stocking, domestic movement and exports. ठीक है, अभी जो एग्रीकल्चरल ट्रेड को लेकर आपने जितने भी रेस्ट्रिक्शंस लगा कर रखे थे कि इतना ही स्टॉक कर सकते हैं, इतना ही डोमेस्टिक मूवमेंट होगा, इतना ही एक्सपोर्ट होगा, ऑल दीज रेस्ट्रिक्शंस शुड बी लिफ्टेड, शुड बी रिमूव्ड, and this is the best time to let agriculture grow to its best or the maximum potential. Let Indian farmers feed the world, not just India. ठीक है, editor has ended this article, this editorial, on a very ambitious and positive note, saying that Indian agricultural sector is capable of feeding not only India but also the world. So this is the time to show it. This is the time to let agriculture sector realize, let Indian farmers realize their maximum potential to feed the entire world. They are capable of doing it. So why don't let them do it? So this is what today's article was about. I hope you understood most of it. There were some concepts also discussed, like growth when calculated at current prices and constant prices. We discussed the concept of MSP. We also came across the monetary policy stance, where accommodative was mentioned here, and the another one is restrictive monetary policy. We also got to know what paddy transplantation is, where seedlings are or saplings are planted in the actual field. Those seedlings or saplings are usually grown for 18 to a maximum of 40 days, where a small sapling of that plant is led to or allowed to grow, and then that small sapling is moved or relocated to the actual field where it is water is sufficient for its growth. So these were the concepts that we came across today. I hope all of you liked what today's article was about and agree to most of the things that have been said in the article. So this is what today's article was. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Stay in and stay safe.